to the I Love Buffalo podcast. Part of the I Love Buffalo network with your host, Josh Catry.
Welcome, good neighbors, to the I Love Buffalo podcast. I'm your host, Josh Catry. If you're new, a little bit about the podcast. We'll cover everything from Buffalo's news, business, sports, crime, art, music, politics, history, unsolved murders, corruption, jiu-jitsu, MMA, nature and the outdoors, entrepreneurship, upcoming events, and all things that champion the underdog city that we all love and the good people in it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today on the podcast, Bills training camp kicks off. Tragic boating accident on the Niagara River. Some people want Tesla out of here. New funding secured for the Central Terminal. And a new tech hub emerges in Buffalo's west side. All this and more on this episode of the I Love Buffalo podcast.
If you could only see where I have been, then maybe you would really know where it is I am.
That right there was Buffalo's own PA Line with lead singer Trevor Stribbing. And throughout this episode, we'll play clips from both PA Line and Trevor on his own solo stuff. So be sure to check them out in the show notes and on YouTube and Spotify. In our first segment, the Buffalo Bills training camp kicks off the 2025 season. So last week, under hot conditions and big expectations this year for the Bills, training camp kicked off at St. John Fisher University out near Rochester there. Early practices featured heavy defensive dominance. This usually happens a lot in early training camps where the defense starts off more dominant than the offense. But if you're paying attention to our offseason moves, we focused heavily on defense, the defensive line, the secondary, and it seems to be showing up pretty big in training camp already, with the defensive line being touted as one of the best position groups on the team throughout the first week of training camp so far. Unlike in years past when we've had some players on the team that attracted drama to them, there doesn't seem to be so much drama this year surrounding the Bills. However, the drama that is there is mostly around the injuries that seem to be happening. There have not been any super severe injuries, but some very key players have been sitting out of practice, including both of our starting tight ends. So that's Dalton Kincaid, he's out, and Knox is out and limited. They're both there, but they're off to the side. They're out with undisclosed injuries, so they're not really telling us what's going on. In addition to the tight ends, the offensive line has had some injuries, including Spencer Brown and Cedric Van Pran Granger. Both are resting. Spencer Brown has had some back injuries and surgery in the past few years, but last year he was totally dominant. He was a great player, a great right tackle. Hopefully it's just a little flare-up on his existing injury, and they get it back under control. Some of the standouts so far on offense, Josh Allen, of course, his leadership has gone to a new level. He's also shifted to wellness and health. And I really like seeing this shift in Josh Allen. Besides just being the usual good leader that he is, speaking about the team goals and taking ownership for like any problem that seems to arise and starting to build chemistry with his new receivers and new returning players and all this, what he's really done is he's implemented new wellness routines. And that includes red light therapy, sauna sessions, better sleep, and less stress-related activities. As you know on this show, I'm a big proponent of anything wellness-related, especially the stuff that we can do where we avoid taking pharmaceutical drugs or prescription drugs, especially for long periods of time to fight chronic illness. I had chronic illnesses. I had autoimmune problems, clinical anxiety, skin problems. I had all kinds of different problems. And diet really matters, and focusing on wellness and sleep and stress and all that changed my life. So some of the changes that Josh Allen has made, he's aiming for 8.5 to 9.5 hours of sleep every night. He keeps his bedroom cold, quiet, and uses green noise to calm his mind. He's also trying a supplement called melatonin that helps regulate transition to deep sleep. He switched his eating habits to be mostly clean, eliminating most dairy and butter, which I'm not against dairy and butter, but I understand why you might want to keep that out of it. He now emphasizes high-quality protein, steak, chicken, and fish as his main source of food, which is in line with the carnivore diet and meat-based diets that I really think helped me. And despite the nutritional focus, he doesn't track calories, though, or practice intermittent fasting. He just eats when he's hungry. I think that's fine. It's more important what the inputs are than how often the inputs are coming in. So it's really great to see Josh Allen focusing on these things to keep himself healthy and hopefully longevity in the NFL, which is hard to do, especially the way he plays the game. It's always a concern. We're always worried about when that peak will hit. And as long as he's taking care of himself and being smart, it will certainly extend that for as long as possible. I mean, look, some players can extend it into their 40s. Tom Brady did. His main focus was diet. His main focus was discipline. So these are the right things for Josh to be keeping in mind. Also, all accounts from camp are that Josh is trying to get rid of the ball quickly and read his receivers and not use his legs as much as an escape route, which can be more dangerous if he gets hit, things like this. So Josh has been super sharp in 7-on-7 drills and red zone drills. His timing with the new receivers is improving every day. And a couple other standouts are Keon Coleman and Curtis Samuel. They've had some really good highlight catches and things like this throughout the beginning of camp. Keep in mind there's no pads on right now, so people aren't really hitting each other. But Keon has had some one-handed sideline grabs and tight coverage grabs that he's been really the standout receiver, which I was really hopeful he'd take a step forward. And by all accounts, he's ahead of schedule with his route running and his playbook knowledge, which is great to hear. After his injury last year, he wasn't the same guy down the stretch for the playoffs. So hopefully he comes back renewed and rejuvenated and ready to go there. He's obviously playing against the top corners on our team and beating them in both deep routes and red zone fades. Some other noteworthy offensive performances on the Bills have been Khalil Shakir. He's got some of the best hands in football. Curtis Samuel, he's looked really good as well. And Justin Shorter, he had some great plays, but I think he left with a lower leg injury. At first, people thought it was pretty serious, but now apparently that is not true. It is serious. It's a heavy sprain, but it's not going to be ending his season or anything like that. So that's great to hear. You hate to hear of people getting injured, especially in training camp. One of the storylines entering into camp, of course, was James Cook and his contract drama, but the running back came in as a pro. He showed up. He didn't hold out, and he's been ready to go, and having also good reports about him as well throughout camp, participating, showing professionalism, all the coaches saying good things about him saying the right things. I mean, if he has another great year, would love to keep him on the Bills, but he has to understand what his actual value is as a 2-down back and not really a 3-down back. So he's coming off a career year. He had 16 rushing touchdowns last year, 1,200 yards rushing. That's a killer year for a running back. Let's see what happens this year and then go forward from there. But all accounts say that James has showed up to camp ready to roll. One of the biggest storylines coming out of camp, though, is the defensive line and how good the defense is doing, which is great to hear since they did so much changing to the defensive line. They added, of course, Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa has been used a little sparingly. His reps in training camp have kept him healthy for full participation, but he is often working off to the sides, according to a lot of reports. So the defensive coordinator and staff they're testing various schemes and layouts and blitz packages and things like that. And so far, the defense has been awesome in training camp. That has been the real highlight that everyone is talking about. Safety Taylor Rapp, he had a really good couple days on defense. On day 3, he had multiple interceptions and great communication with rookie Cole Bishop. So Cole Bishop last year, he got a slow start. He had a couple rough games, but he is super athletically gifted. But there's a score they give you as an athlete, and he's in the top like 0.5% or something like that. He's ridiculously athletic, but learning our system as a safety and as a corner it's not an easy position to learn, especially playing for Sean McDermott and the Bills. That's like their core positions are their cornerbacks and safeties, and the communication is built around that. But all accounts say that Cole Bishop is communicating very well with Taylor Rapp this year, and our defensive line looks dominant in the drills. So these are all really good signs going into this year. If we can keep our offense the same, which was the most powerful offense the Buffalo Bills ever had last year, and improve our defense just to have a few extra stops per game, especially in the playoffs, we're going to be a hard team to deal with. That's going to be a very hard team to deal with if we have a good offense and a good defense, which it sounds like we might. So we're going to be on HBO this year. Just keep that in mind. We have the new Hard Knocks this summer, and this is the first time that an actual playoff team has been chosen. Usually they choose like the lower end teams. So if you get HBO and you want to check that out, it's set to premiere on August 5th, and it's going to give Bills fans and the whole NFL an exclusive look behind the scenes. And I'm really excited because as a coach, as someone who also adheres to growth mindset, that's the philosophy that Sean McDermott brought to the Bills when he came here, I want to see how he delivers that behind the scenes. I'm very curious, especially with new players. He probably won't be delivering growth mindset speeches to Josh Allen or anything like that. But to some of the new players that are not familiar with our culture here on the Bills and our philosophy, it's going to be very interesting to me to see the way that he approaches that and delivers it, if indeed they show that, which I hope they do. So I might just get HBO. I don't watch much TV, but I might get HBO just to check out the Hard Knocks for the Buffalo Bills.
Give me time. 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 Give me
In our next segment, tragedy strikes the Niagara River. So on the night of Tuesday, July 23rd, around 9:30 p.m., a 35-foot recreational boat, one of those center council boats, struck a structure under the Grand Island Bridge on the upper Niagara River. So you're talking about the North Grand Island Bridge, the one that's closest to the falls there. The boat overturned violently after the impact, and both passengers were ejected into the water and went missing. And so I was actually out on the water when this happened, and those boats went by me. I was out fishing for muskies. Those of you that know that I go fishing for muskies quite often. I don't go at night that often. I'm not super comfortable on the Niagara River at night because of stuff like this. It's hard to see. There's lights. It's weird. Not everything's marked that well. It's a dangerous waterway. And that night we happened to be out. We just stayed out an hour in the dark, and I didn't have a life vest on, and I regret not having one on. I wish I would have had one on. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but from this point forward, when I'm out at night on that river, I'm definitely going to have one on, because had these people been wearing a life vest, there's a good chance that they could have got thrown from the boat, but found survival, even if they were hurt, because they were thrown. And there was another boat with them. There was two boats, and they were going pretty fast when they went by us. We were upstream quite a ways, but they went by us. I remember thinking, like, man, like, I don't go that fast at night. Maybe some people have confidence or vision or whatever, but I just don't do it. My rule when I'm driving the boat is I stand up at night. I stand up at night and I look over the windshield if it's a fishing boat, and I only go as fast as I can comfortably standing up. So that means bugs hit you in the face or cold air or whatever. That's how fast I go at night. And if I don't like the comfort, then I don't go any faster. In the daytime, it's a lot different. You can see really far in every direction, completely different than going out there in the darkness fast. So I never go fast. It's probably under 20 miles an hour is like my top speed at night, personally, when I'm driving. And when I'm out from now on, I'm definitely going to put a life vest on. So these two boats, after it overturned, they couldn't find the people in the water. The other boat that was with them called the police immediately, and like all agencies responded, the park police, sheriffs, the Coast Guard, and the search continued overnight into the next day. After about 24 hours of looking, they changed it from a rescue mission to a recovery mission. They found Natalie Sansivero. She was 46 years old, of Grand Island. She was recovered about a mile downstream on Wednesday evening. And Jerome Williams, he owned the boat. He was 66. He's still missing. And at least he was the one that is believed to be operating the boat. He for certain owned the boat. Not really sure who was driving the boat, but he has not been found yet. Both of these people were well known in the community. I have connections to Mr. Williams through, a couple of shades of business. He did business with a bunch of people downtown. He was a business guy. And so I knew of him. And this is just a sad tragedy. It's a very sad tragedy. And you have to respect the water. You got to respect the water. I mean, you have one little mistake on the water. It's almost like with motorcycles, right? You have a mistake on a motorcycle, a little fender bender is a big deal. And on the water, it's the same thing. If you get separated from your craft in that current at night, far away from others, and that's a big deal. It's very sad. And at the very least, we should extract the lessons here so that this doesn't happen again. There are memorials and tributes being shared across social media, and local leaders have extended condolences. If you're interested in any of the vigils or any of the memorials that are happening, just check on the social media. We'll try to find some links and put them up there as well. The lessons we can extract here for boater safety, this is just a reminder. These people were experienced. They've had boats for their whole lives, as far as I've been told. I know people that know them directly. Number one is wear a life jacket at all times, especially at night, especially if you're driving fast in a boat. Every year on the Great Lakes or the Niagara River, someone gets separated from their boat and drowns. I've never once heard that tale told where that person was wearing a life vest. So there's that. I know people, I didn't see it with my own eyes, but who claim they used to jump into the whirlpool in the lower Niagara, which is completely insane rapids. It's unclassified rapids. So you're talking about there's classes 1 through 5. This is unclassified. It's above that. They would jump in with a life vest and swim down a devil's hole. And they'd get sucked under and pop back up over and over again. And they used to do it with a group of their friends. So a life jacket, a good life jacket especially, matters. You're not going to sink. You're going to keep popping back up and be able to get air. Nothing's going to fight you to the surface. Your limbs aren't going to do it. You're not going to beat a riptide or a current, or if you're disorientated, or if you hit your head, or if you're knocked out. You're not going to be able to do that without a life vest on. So wear a life vest. That's a rule that I'm telling myself too, because I didn't have one on that night. And here's the thing. My friend that I was out with, his boat got hit at night a couple weeks prior. And you know who hit them? I'm not going to call out the exact agency, but a police boat hit them. So a police boat, luckily it was only going like 10 miles an hour, not really paying attention, ran into my friend who had all his lights on, was sitting out there doing his own thing. The police boat came up on him, not paying attention, and hit him. So you can't really trust anyone out there at night. You have to be aware at all times, and wearing a life vest just mitigates that risk down to nothing. It's also important to know your water. You have to have GPS, know your bridges, know your hazards. I know where the buoys are out there. In case the lights ever go off the buoys, I know about where they are, especially the ones that are between me and the place that I took off from with my boat. So that's on to you to know where the shoals are, the shallow spots, the hazards. Also, try to use your eyesight to adjust, because seeing lights at night on that river are tricky. You got to maintain safe speeds. Never assume the water is just open. There can be kayakers out there that got stuck, that they don't have lights. There's all kinds of stuff. This is why I think it's crazy to go fast at night. And always have a plan. Like when you're going out, tell people where you're going. Try never to go alone on the water. Try to go with people that are experienced. And most of all, be aware. Pay attention. You're responsible for you on the water. In Buffalo, we are so lucky. We have the Great Lakes in our backyard. It is amazing. It is a beautiful freedom to be able to go on a boat or a kayak or a jet ski or windsurfing, or do whatever you want and go wherever you want. It's all of ours to share and to use, but we must respect that. So let's learn from this and hopefully we'll grow.
I embrace this pain and feel without all this. I'm so vain and I don't feel proud.
In our next segment, people are calling for the Tesla plant to get out of here. So Tesla operates a massive facility in South Buffalo. Most people know about it. The Gigafactory. It's originally built with over $750 million in taxpayer money through a state initiative. I'm pretty strongly against state funding private projects like this. I think that it is what cronies do, but I do see some value sometimes in the state or taxes helping with certain things. I've been part of some things where the state has helped fund. One of them is restoring historic old buildings or grain silos and things like this. They give you some tax breaks in order to do that, because taking on a project where you have to restore a historic building is really hard to do, and it benefits the whole community. So I do see some value in that. I see value in some other helping of certain things when it comes to taxpayer-funded projects. That being said, this was a big price tag, almost $1 billion given to Tesla to put this in here. And the site was supposed to become a hub for solar panel manufacturing and clean energy jobs, with thousands of high-tech positions promised as part of the partnership here with private and public. But some people want out now. They think there's a lot of broken promises in the jobs. The factory never delivered its initial vision of creating all these high-paying manufacturing jobs. Instead, many workers were assigned to data labeling for Tesla's AI systems, often at lower wages than expected. And critics say the economic return on the public investment has been pretty weak, with very little local benefit. There's also been allegations there of union busting, where Tesla has faced many complaints for firing union organizers. Pro-labor advocates say that the company has used intimidation tactics to suppress organizing efforts in the city of Buffalo here. There's also been some concerns about discrimination there. Civil rights groups have been there. Environmental concerns, ethical concerns, all kinds of stuff like this. But the thing that people are most upset about, it seems, if you look online, is that Tesla has this sweetheart deal. They pay as little as $1 per year in rent for the whole state-owned facility. A lot of locals feel that company is taking advantage of New York taxpayers, providing too little in return for this massive state support. There are people that are calling for this to be given away or Tesla shut down. I don't think that that's the right idea. You got to weigh out both sides of this thing here. Do I think that they should have got $1 billion? I don't think that they should have got $1 billion. Do I think that the people here should have more of a say of what's going on there? I definitely do. I think all things government should be led by the people, not by corrupt politicians. You guys know that if you listen to this podcast, I'm for decentralized government, transparent government, and radically changing the systems that we use to hold government accountable. But that being said, we can't escape the truth that this Tesla plant employs about almost 2,000 people. I think it's around 1,800 people, 1,700 people, somewhere in there, based on the 2 or 3 searches I did. And while the nature of the work has shifted from solar panels to AI-related tasks, it's still better than a vacant factory, right? Like, it's still better than not having any jobs there and just having a big empty place. It's an anchor there. It started to change the landscape over there. People were moving new businesses in there and all different kinds of stuff. So I think a more reasonable approach to this, instead of just shutting the whole plant down, is renegotiating the deal that will offer stronger positions for the workers and the public. They could be pressured, Tesla could be pressured by improving conditions, paying more rent, meeting new community standards, without kicking them out entirely. Like, if we kick them out entirely, that's going to be it's not better than just leaving it as it is right now. So the state's currently reviewing the Tesla's lease, and they're going to see if there's any debate or any changes that we can do to renew that, or maybe offer the site to other companies as well to see if maybe we can have more than one company there. Why don't you let us know your position on the Tesla company being in South Buffalo in the show notes or on social media, and we'll look at everyone's feedback and maybe follow up on this in a few weeks to see if anything happens. In our next segment, there is a new tech hub rising on Buffalo's west side. I love this story. I think this is awesome. On Buffalo's west side and downtown corridor, it's becoming a growing focal point in Western New York for the tech transformation. So this is like part of a federally recognized tech hub. Our city has actually been named this recognition, which opens the doors to grants and a bunch of other stuff. So by doing this, we position Buffalo alongside Rochester and Syracuse as national leaders in advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence. Some of the key players here have been M&T Bank, their tech hub, and M&T Bank has invested heavily in downtown with this multi-floor tech hub inside the Seneca One Tower. There's hundreds of workers, including engineers, software developers, data analysts, things like this. And a secondary site on Lafayette Court is also up and running. And it's building even more infrastructure. So this whole entire thing, plus the regional universities such as, UB, and of course, Buff State, are focusing on tech as the next wave of scholarships and programs in their schools, focusing a lot on AI, robotics, clean energy, and chip manufacturing. So this effort includes like reskilling workers, connecting local youth with careers in techs, and also creating a nice fertile ground for startups and innovation. So I know some of the people that have gone through a program called 43 North, and they help raise funds for startups. And one of them was called ACV Auctions. Several of the founders trained martial arts at Buffalo United Martial Arts. And that helped propel them to be worth billions of dollars. And now this is expanding, this whole entire region and the grants and the funds around it. Everything is expanding and pushing people into these silos of tech and advanced tech right here in Buffalo. And I think it's a really smart thing to do. A lot of people get worried that, AI is going to take your job or whatever. That might be true, but we're not cutting up a finite pie here. There's always going to be problems that people need to solve, and you get paid for the problems that you help solve based on your contributions. The things that humans should be working on, we should be working on things that are creative based, because that's what AI cannot do. AI is not creative. AI only recombinates the information that you put inside of it. So AI, it can make a drawing, but it took the information for whatever it drew from someone else's previous drawings, a human that created it. So we're not fighting anymore over who sets the printing press or who lights the lamps in the streets or who cleans up the spittoons or any of this stuff, right? The innovation that has happened here opens new jobs each time. So for example, at the turn of the century around, the 1900s, everyone was worried in London about the horse manure. They estimated that if it kept going on, the horse manure on the sides of the road would be 9 feet high. But one day, it pretty much just stopped. And they weren't worried about who's going to clean up the horse manure anymore. They were worried about who's going to work on the cars, because cars were taking over. And it put the problem away by innovation, by creating new innovation, obviously automobiles, transportation. So we need to take the same approach. What we need to be wary of, though, is AI can be used for good or bad, just like any powerful tool. And so we have to steward that with responsibility. And I love the fact that it's happening right here in Buffalo on a pretty high level. I know quite a few people in this space, the AI space, the blockchain space, the decentralized governance space. I find myself in it. We'll get into some of these topics in future episodes on here once we're ready to talk about them. But there's a lot of cool stuff happening in this space where we can change systems all the systems around us are corrupt. No one trusts many of them anymore, and we need new ones. And that means we need new tech. So that's all happening. A lot of this on Buffalo's west side, as these spaces are opening up all new doorways and opportunities for people.
You honestly can't believe I'm the only one who sinned. Just drop your stone, draw the line, this really has to end.
In our last segment here, we're going to do a quick update about the Buffalo Central Terminal. There's new life being breathed back into this legendary structure. This was opened in 1929 as a massive Art Deco train station and transit hub, and at its peak, it welcomed over 200 trains a day. It symbolized Buffalo's role as a transportation powerhouse. But the station sadly closed in 1979, and it was abandoned for several decades until more recently, where people gave it a glimmer of hope. The first phase in the restoration came from 2023 to 2025. About $16 million effort was underway to stabilize mostly the structure, seal the building from weather, and reopen the main concourse in the public. So crews are doing that currently. They're adding structural supports, things like this. A $33 million construction grant was then granted and secured in late 2024. That's going to build structural upgrades. It needs a lot of masonry repair. It's a lot of big bricks and things like this. Interior restoration and infrastructure for public events. And then more recently, a $61 million broader investment as part of a regional revitalization initiative has been injected into the project. So this is really good to see. There's going to be a bunch of renovations going on there, development of 90 to 110 affordable housing units, creation of public green spaces, and things like this. Buffalo is known for its amazing architecture, and it would be sad to let yet another building be destroyed without at least trying to help save it. We can preserve some of this history, this charm that our city has, and these are things where I think some tax breaks are helpful. Maybe not give it to Tesla to pop up just a random plant, but rather give it to places that are going to restore some of the beautiful architecture that we have here, the gems that we have here. Imagine if some of Frank Lloyd Wright's buildings weren't destroyed here, how cool they would be for tourism right now to draw people here. So you go to newer cities where I used to live in like Charlotte, North Carolina for a little while, and everything just seems new and pop-up-ish and glass. But these old stone buildings, things like this will never be made again, most likely, or doubtfully anyways. They're too hard to build. They're too complex to build. They're too intricate, too expensive. But if we can restore them and restore some beauty and make it part of the vibrant resurrection of our city, I'm all for that. I think that's awesome. Maybe we could even make it part of the tech hub. Maybe, and just maybe, we could look at using it as a train station again. We should have high-speed rails that go all over this country. That's one thing that Europe does a lot better than we have here. And we should strongly consider that. That would be money well spent for taxpayers, not giving it to these giant Wall Street corporations that work together and collude against our interests. Speaking of not Wall Street companies, every week on this show, we like to highlight one business. And this week, we are highlighting a local business called Steel Mill Gym. This is right on the border of South Buffalo, Lackawanna, West Seneca. Falls right there at the crossroads. It's been around since 1994, and it has new owners. And the new owners I really like. I know the owner fairly well. I've had lunch with her and talked to her. Her name's Rhea and her husband. And I went to the gym for a while before I closed last time. I love this gym. It has the best equipment in the city, period, in my opinion. It has like a lot of the equipment from the era of Arnold Schwarzenegger that was like the top line, heavy steel made cables and chains. And oh man, it's just awesome. Really nice equipment there. And they're redoing it all and taking good care of it and putting in all new things like protein shake bar, a retail area, place to get some healthy snacks, things like this. And I can attest that this is a really good gym. Rhea is running it very well. She was running it actually before under the last ownership, but she was running it kind of against what the owners were doing there last time. And so she stepped in and actually bought it. And I think that's really courageous, really hard to do, really scary to do. So kudos to her. I want to give her some props. Also, my trainer, he trains there, John Schweikart, like hands down, one of the best trainers in Western New York. He helps run, there's a Hall of Fame for weightlifting, and he helps run all that. I was going to him to try to have longevity in my jiu-jitsu training, and he taught me so much. And because of that, I'm still training today with all the high-level black belts. And thank you to that gym. I hope they do really well. I stopped in there the other day and just love seeing what you guys are doing with the place. Keep up the good work. All right, now let's list the events for the week up to the 4th of August. Starting off with the Niagara County Fair, starts Wednesday 7:30 and runs through Sunday 8/3. The Eden Corn Festival starts on the 31st of July and goes through August 3rd. Buffalo Irish Festival is August 2nd and 3rd, and that's at Riverfest Park. One of my favorite festivals of the whole year, Chalk Fest, where chalk artists, that's going to be at Buffalo Riverworks on August 2nd and 3rd. On the 2nd, there will also be a Totally Buffalo event with booths and things for sale. That will be on the Saturday. On that Sunday is a Well Fest. Maybe Josh Allen will be there with his new wellness journey. And there's also going to be a fundraiser for David LaMagna. He's a black belt from Rochester whose son was in a bad accident, and we are raising funds, doing a roll-a-thon for that. So anyone interested in that, please come out to that. That is on Sunday from 12:30 to 3. And that will be a family event because that will be the finals of Chalk Fest, and the awards will be given out around 4:30, 5 o'clock on that Sunday, August 3rd. All the beautiful chalk art inside the grain silos and around the parking lot at Riverworks. As of right now, the weather is slated to be amazing. On the 2nd, from 12 to 4 o'clock in the village of Lancaster, is the 4th annual Lancaster Renaissance Street Fair. That sounds cool. I've always wanted to go to one of those, and I've never gone to one of those. So that sounds amazing. You got Slightly Stupid rocking out on August 1st. That's Friday at Art Park. Barely Dead is on August 3rd at Buffalo Ironworks. That's a Grateful Dead tribute show. The Buffalo Infringement Festival. This is a nonprofit-driven, grassroots bringing together of a broad range of eclectic, independent, experimental, and controversial arts of all forms. And that is going to be in various venues. You got to look that one up because it's kind of long. It lasts like a whole week, and they have it spread out throughout the city. So I've never been to any part of that, but I found that in my research. Wanted to share that. You got the Langford County Tractor Pull down in Langford, New York, there in North Collins. That is going to be on the 2nd and 3rd. I love this tractor pull. I'm not into tractor pulls or anything like this. I just speaks to the hillbilly that's hidden deep down inside me a little bit. I want to be out there doing stuff with my hands, and sometimes the tractor pull is a really cool place to go see. Something you don't get to see anywhere else, and they do a really good job putting that on. I think they have some live music there as well. Old Man River on the 3rd at 12 o'clock is the 10th annual Ted Reinhardt Western New York Drumming Festival. So these are all the drummers. They come outside, they teach youth. Money gets raised for a good cause, as for helping for the homeless. And I think this is a great thing to support. And that's at Old Man River, a drum festival. And lastly, if you like PA Line and Trevor Stribbing throughout this episode, that music, Trevor will be playing live at Pearl Street Grill and Brewery on the patios with no cover at 8 o'clock on Saturday, August 2nd. So come have a drink on the patio and enjoy some free live music there. All right, remember, Buffalo, a rising tide raises all ships. Get your kids into jiu-jitsu, find a class somewhere. The Buffalo Open Coffee Club is every week, 7:30 a.m., and that is at the Seneca One Tower. It's open to everyone, 7:30 a.m. And a final word to you about opportunity and failure. Have a good week.
Successful people see opportunity in every failure. Normal people see failure in every opportunity. Both are right. Only one gets rich.
I love it.